Welcome, dirty peasants, to episode 30 of Wartwood Gazette, the Amphibia podcast. This week we'll be covering Amphibia Season 3, Episode 6, Mr. X and Sprig's Birthday. I'm your host, Thumbaticon, and joining me today we have Pickle,
Hey.
Pixels,
Hey everybody.
and Nick.
What's up?
Thanks, guys, for coming on, and I guess the only news we got this week was that the first 5 episodes of Amphibia Season 3 have hit Disney Plus US and I guess Canada by extension. Were there any other regions where it got released as well?
Not that I heard of. We'll see that there's most regions are not getting Disney at all. So coming soon, which is pretty bad.
Yeah, it's one day.
Sucks.
Like for older shows, do they have all the episodes up in those regions? Like Gravity Falls and Starverse?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't have much experience with myself since I watch this stuff primarily through cable.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're actually counted in Disney by Disney's book, anyway.
Yes.
Old-fashioned.
We were safe.
But I guess we can go right into the first segment of this episode, which was Mr. X. It was directed by Roxanne Cole, written by Adam Colas, and storyboards by Cassie Zwart and Imbal Breda. So the episode starts immediately with Mr. X and his, I guess, assistant or coworker Jenny inside like a secret ice cream truck, or an ice cream truck that's like that's a front for their operations. Mr. X is like reviewing all the photos that they saw on that highway chase that occurred last week's episode and Terminator. Eventually, they like get a close-up read, and then at the same time, they just by coincidence want to like pick up some Thai food, and then they happen to find the Boon Choi's restaurant. So they go down there. We cut to the planners in the kitchen helping the Boon Choi's. The parents are pumped up after they like helped destroy Cloakbot last week, and they're kind of like excited for like another like fight. But then Anne kind of mentions that that this is like a rest week, or this is like downtime, and she just wanted to take the planners to the movies. So they head to the movies, just learn about the theater, and then it cuts back to Mr. X entering the restaurant. He speaks with Miss Boon Choi for a little bit. He speaks a little bit in Thai. He tries questioning Mrs. Boon Choi about the planners and shows them that blurry screenshot, and she kind of has to cover up what she knows and immediately calls Mr. Boon Choi just to bring the food and quickly shoo them out. But then eventually Jenny barges in. She has a lock on Anna and the planner signal, and they quickly rush off to catch up with them. So Mr. and Mrs. Boon Choi immediately start tailing them, and they try calling Anne, but Anne's in the middle of the movie, so she doesn't pick up her phone. Oh, they're specifically in the middle of those trailers. Cuts back to that, I guess you could call it a chase, where they're trying to catch up to the ice cream truck, but eventually Mr. X pulls out this random Inspector Gadget-esque tool that just lets them avoid all traffic and get to the theater faster. So Anne and the planners come out of the theater. Anne sees her text from Mrs. Boon Choi, and that's pretty much their heads up. They immediately run back into the theater to hide, but Mr. X follows them in and knows where they are. We get kind of a little cat and mouse game. They try to leave that through the main door, but then Jenny's blocking it and just pretty much scanning everyone who leaves. Mr. and Mrs. Boon Choi try calling Anne and suggest they're going to come up with a plan, but Anne doesn't want to get them involved. Mr. Boon Choi ends up calling Anne's grandma. Yeah, it cuts back and forth between Anne, the planners and the parents a lot. like the Boon Choys have like a plan. Meanwhile, like Anne and the planners like hide inside like this like storage closet. Mr. X follows them in, but then they have like a little distraction. But at the same time, Mr. X like in the struggle manages to like unmask Hop Hop as like an alien frog before they rush out. And that's when he calls like once he can confirm that Hop Hop's like once he can confirm the planners are aliens, that's when he calls in for backup. So we have like SWAT, like not SWAT team, like a bunch of FBI cars like show up, and like the planners are cornered in the bathroom, and just when they're about to like storm, like just when they're about to storm the stall, like the power gets cut, and then uh they're replaced with like a bunch of like frogs from like a pet store, which we eventually find out that while all this was happening, Mr. and Mrs. Boonchoy were like they actually like were playing a big role in like saving the day by stalling them on the freeway, getting the decoy pets, like sabotaging the electrical system. And then of course they planted a tracker on Hop Hop while he was asleep the other day, and that's how they were able to find them. But then Anne's kind of like glad that they were there to help out. And the episode ends with Polly ripping the ripping the tracker off Hop Hop and him screaming in agony. So that was Mr. X, and I really enjoyed this episode. It was nice to get more screen time from Mr. and Mrs. Boonchoy, like seeing them like interact with the cast a lot more. The jokes were pretty funny. RuPaul as Mr. X is like really interesting, especially with like his banter with like Jenny as well as like with the Anne and the planners as well. I really liked all that. And I'm hoping he makes another appearance again. But I mean, I assume he will, but the way they ended it off with like all the FBI agents just laughing at him for like that decoy they pulled off at the end. But I guess starting with Nick, what were your thoughts on this segment?
Overall pretty fun. I liked how it carried over sort of the developments we got in Amsterminator, so it was pretty nice to see Mrs. and Mr. Boonchoy just ready to really get more active with, I guess, like, don't know how to perfect word it, but I guess, like, Anne struggles with, like, the planter, so that was pretty neat. I thought this was a pretty great introduction for Mr. X right here. Like, I had a lot of fun just getting a sassy villain like this, so that was pretty cool. Jenny, I was surprised that Jenny turned out to be like mute or something. Like we spent so many months trying to figure out like who could be the voice actor for Jenny. We just thought like, well, none of them really fit her, do they? Right? But then it just turns out she doesn't have a voice actor at all.
Yeah, she doesn't have an actress at all.
Yeah, that was a pretty fun surprise right there. There were I think there were a good amount of funny moments, especially from the parents here. Like when they come in, like it's just like the last 30 seconds are just something else with them because it's just funny moment after funny moment with them. You know, when they mess with the light switches, and then when they admit to putting a tracker on Hop Hop, that was pretty funny. Overall, I mean, I think it was sort of like it was a light episode, but I think it was also just a good episode, and it's nice how it's setting up things later for the FBI. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
All right, thank you, Nick. And yeah, I like those quick like final gags near the end of the segment where like it had Mrs. Boonchoy on the highway just pulling Domino out of a hat.
Yeah, that was pretty nice.
Pixels, what were your thoughts on the segment?
It was a very simple episode, and I liked it. I liked how it was. It's very cat and mouse. RuPaul's a really good voice actor. He spoke Thai really good too. I was really impressed with how fluent he spoke Thai with Mrs. Boonchoy at the restaurant, and it was just pretty funny. I love the jokes about when they're at the movies with the trailers. Here's
like the 25 minutes.
20 minutes of trailers, which I like.
What did Hop Hop say? Like, and you call yourselves civilized? Yeah,
you call yourself civilized. It was great. And in the posters, you can see like there's some homages because I believe there is a Spider-Man reference to it. I believe.
Yeah, I think it was Spider-Man.
I forgot. It was an actual spider.
It was just like, you are spider in your home.
It's spider in your home. There's a Thomas the Tank Engine reference, I think, too. It's a train.
There was a Suspicion Island 2 sus poster.
Too sus. Too sus.
I'm sure that it was also in an earlier episode on like a bus or something.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it was. Yeah, it was. Like, it was on a bus. Yeah, right.
Yep. All in all, it was a really great episode. Jenny's mute. I like it. I like her like that, to be honest. It kind of shows more interest. They're really smart because Jenny was like in the entrance, just scanning people because they already have like info on Anne. They're probably like checking her body and stuff. It was great. I love this episode. Pretty fun.
All right, thank you, Pixels. Pickle, what were your thoughts?
I definitely liked it. I kind of agree. It was like a lighter episode. It definitely had plot. Like it set up that whole FBI stuff, but it still kind of felt light and fun. Anyways, I really like Mr. X. I also like his thing with Jenny where he kind of talks enough for both of them. Oh yeah, the show is still shitting on Mr. Boonchoi all the time.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Sprig bullying continues.
Can't catch a break.
Yeah, they're just
Can't
being
catch a
mean to
break.
him. They're just being mean to him for no reason.
Poor guy, he's my favorite Boonchoi.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah, so I guess to start things off, like, I wanted to talk about how I guess what was everyone's thoughts on RuPaul's character with his, like, over the top gadgets and like wheelies, which like when were wheelies popular? Like,
I-
we
It's like
still have those.
early 2000s, early mid 2000s at least, at most.
My brain's telling me 2016, 2017, 2018, around there, because I just remember telling people in high school, like, I'd see there's a ton of people in wheelies just rolling around like that, so I'm thinking around there.
Didn't a bunch of people die because of those, though?
Really? Whoa!
Like,
Is it
not
real?
die, get injured.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
they roll and like,
Yes,
trip
dang.
downstairs.
Maybe. I'm not sure.
It debuted in 2000.
They were banned at my earlier schools.
Wow. Wait, what was the question again? Wait, what did you say? Is me there?
Yeah, so like
Oh,
I guess we could talk about. Oh, also I feel bad for that kid who just wanted the ice cream.
Oh yeah. But I love the gag because the door wouldn't close. He got stuck. Yeah, but
Yeah.
really, shout out to RuPaul. He's a really good voice actor. And he brings that enthusiasm to it, which I like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he was pretty cool. He was pretty good this episode.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know. Is this his first voice acting experience? Actually, because I mean, let me see. I just want to check and see if he's ever been on any other team. Okay. Yeah, I think this might be. Yeah, this is definitely one of those. Yeah, I guess he's not too experienced of working in animated TV shows, but like, yeah, I was super pleased with everything going on here. Like, I really did feel like Mr. X was a fun character here. I really do like the fact that he's like super obsessed with like extraterrestrial stuff. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like his relationship with Jenny. You know, they're sort of. I mean, they're friends, and he likes to be playful for her. So that was pretty cool. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what else to say about Mr. X. I think we didn't really. We didn't get a whole lot from him, but I do. I think we're basically getting another like overarching villain, right? Like we just took care of like Frobot. Now we're moving on to this.
In a way, yeah, because yeah.
My guess is probably a little bit later he'll either be more like lax as a villain not showing up as often or end up fighting with them against Andreas or something.
Oh yeah, definitely.
He seems too goofy and silly to stay like a major villain throughout the whole.
God.
Yeah.
I was thinking back in the trailer we did see Anne and this blue-haired girl kick in the door, which makes me think that maybe Mr. X probably captured one of the planters and took him to a lab.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I'm thinking maybe because it seems like Amphibia really is trying to transition over to a different. I mean, they're not exactly a villain, but you guys know what I mean. Like, let's just say overarching antagonist, but like, yeah, I think he might come back in Hollywood Hop, like around there in a song. This is just my prediction. But I'm guessing like maybe they kidnap Hop in that episode, and then they'll need to rescue them. And what was it called? Like, if you give a frog a cookie, like you said. So I'm thinking maybe something like that.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to think. Where are the other voice actors that were announced for season 3? Because I know we met
Whoopi Goldberg.
Yes. Oh, I can't wait for Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah.
I know there's Kate McCucci, then there's Cree Summers. Like, she was a surprise. Like, she wasn't initially announced, but it looks like she's coming in if she's coming into if you give a frog a cookie. So that's pretty cool.
I thought Kate McCucci was the blue-haired girl.
Oh yeah,
the blue-haired girl.
Yeah, I think she's going to be. We don't have. Oh, we don't.
Yeah.
We don't have a direct confirmation yet, but it is looking like that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we have we're almost. What do we have? 3 episodes left. For season
3 episodes left.
A, and then it goes into a hiatus probably until next year. Probably at the same time the Owl House season 2B will probably start. So it'll be a good back.
That's what it's looking like, I guess.
Yeah, based on the times and how it plays out. Yeah. I like the design of Mr. X. It's almost not too serious, but he likes to be playful sometimes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
His dialogue too is very come on, let's have fun. It's like he wants to play with them.
Yeah. That's something I do like about him. Because like the fact, I mean, he's only so playful just because he's extremely confident, right? Like, he's really confident in his own abilities and not like that. You know, like it was just a nice blend between a playful villain and also an intimidating one. I mean, Christ, I mean, he had that stun gun, right?
like Andreas.
That looked more deadly than just, I don't know, just paralyzing someone for a second. Like that looks so violent.
Amphibia is pretty good with. Oh, you go ahead.
So he turned batshit crazy when he got that stun gun. I don't even want to call it a stun gun at that point because I can see the crazy voltage on that. It's probably gonna kill someone.
But go ahead, Pickle. I think you were going to say something.
Yeah.
Amphibia does pretty good with playful villains. It definitely uses a lot of them. Andreas, Mr. X, even Grime kind of later in the show when he wasn't no longer, like non-season 1 Grime was more of a playful than type.
Yeah. These are villains done right.
Yes.
Yeah, they never
Yunan
failed. Oh yeah, Yunan too. Like they never do fail at that, you know. Like they.
True.
Even so, they let these villains have a goofy side to sort of like humanize them in a way. At the same time, like they never take away how intimidating they can be, right?
Yeah.
Like that's never dropped. Like the show, I think Amphibia really does well balancing both of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, they do good with that. They still have that goofy side. I think they did that well in introducing Mr. X with him being all like snazzy and fun, but still telling a kid to go fuck himself.
Yeah,
it's pretty great. Like he's snazzy, sassy, fun, but at the same time, he's very like competent of his work here, right? Like he's not someone you should be messing with, and I like that about him.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that they kind of.
Yeah, I like the setting of where the cat and mouse game takes place because you never see it in a movie theater. You kind of like see it at a school, like at a mall or something, but never at like a movie theater. Especially with like how peaceful and quiet it is. But I'm not even sure if the movie theater is located at the mall. Look like actually, it might be because there are movie theaters that has like that kind of presence.
Yeah, there are movie theaters that can be a mall, but I don't think this one was in one, was it? Because I wasn't really paying attention, but yeah, I don't think it was.
Oh yeah, right.
I mean, so how did you guys feel about the binge choices episode?
Binge choices are great.
Yeah.
Binge choices are always great.
I like that they're kind of. I kind of like that their sort of incompetence was the focal point this episode, with them like being weak and then specifically failing at electricity. They're sort of all their flaws was what exactly made them work well this episode.
Yeah, they know how to make good use of that, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It definitely highlighted Anne's little I don't know if it's the A plot or B plot of her being like, "Oh, my parents can't do anything. I should keep them out of this."
Mm-hmm. It's almost reverse in a way because in the first episode, it was mostly, the mom and dad trying to protect Anne, but in this episode, it's mostly Anne protecting the parents, especially what happened last episode.
Yeah. Although I think that if Anne was going to take away anything from that episode, it would be, "Oh, my parents are a lot stronger than I thought," which is a little bit weird, continuity-wise.
I mean, yeah.
I think it's. I guess it sort of makes sense for me because I feel like she didn't really get the chance to get too comfortable with them since like the whole situation in Anne's Terminator was sort of forcing her. So I guess she was still sort of trying to get used to it, right? Like just having them involved in this kind of thing. Because like when she originally got here, she wasn't planning on like, even letting them in on anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's a little bit more open now. Yeah. I mean, they know about her powers, but they aren't pressuring her to tell them. They know she's gone through a lot, and they're letting her tell them at her own pace.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. I'm just really glad that we're getting cartoon parents like this because like usually they're just like. Usually the dad, he's dumb, fat, and obnoxious. Then the mom's like naggy, I don't know, spiteful, annoying. But like, these two, they really just have their own personalities, and you can really see like how they're an actual couple. You know what I mean? You can really see how they bounce off of one another here. Like they're not constantly biting in each other's throats. Like they really just feel like a married couple instead of like I don't know, like a stereotype of one.
All right. I like that.
They're also, I don't know if this was purposeful or not, but they have parallels to Sasha and Marcy with Ms. Boon Choi being like really into rock and all aggressive and stuff, and then Mr. Boon Choi being the gamer nerd who's a little bit weak.
Who lost a 10 lost battle.
Pretty cool.
That's a good comparison, actually. I haven't thought about it like that.
Yeah, I never thought of it. Yeah, I didn't think about it either. Yeah, that's pretty neat.
Oof. Amphibia likes to do comparisons of a lot, I see.
Yeah, there's...
I don't mind it.
I feel like half the parallels you could find in this show are like... they're unintended, but they still work somehow. They still really work somehow on the show.
Matt is so... Because I feel like Matt is trying to be tricky on purpose, but he wants us to, figure all this stuff out. And I like that a lot. Jesus, we're like, we're almost halfway done with season 3 by November because we're on to 6.
I'm trying to figure out which episodes are going to be the tonally off episode because we're kind of coming to the end of episodes you can deem just getting started to it.
Yeah, at this point, I have no clue anymore. I'm keeping hands off of that.
I feel like the next few episodes are going to get more story.
Yeah,
More
which
focused on story.
yeah, since we're
Especially
getting
with Ian
closer.
and Olivia.
Yeah,
Right. That's
yeah,
gonna
that
be
one's
a
next
big
week.
one. That's a big one we're gonna talk about next week.
Yeah, we're getting closer and closer to the mid-season finale, so I think things are really just going to start
Because it's what, the 26th?
hyping up.
Yeah, it's the
If it's
26th.
anything.
We're about 3 weeks away from the 10th. Or is it 9?
Yeah, Froggy Little Christmas is on the 27th, or is that what you're asking about?
Yeah, is that episode 9 or 10?
I think that's episode 9.
Oh, so...
Yeah, just 9 episodes for this first half.
Okay, it's pretty nice. I'm not ready. You know that, and you know what I mean by that.
Yeah.
I'm not ready.
Yeah, no, it is.
I'm not ready.
Is anyone ready?
No, they're not ready. People who say that they're ready are not people. Because you can't say that to a 13-year-old girl who's going to get corrupted by an amphibian demon. Because let's be fair, that's Cthulhu. It's almost Cthulhu at this point.
Mother of Olms or something.
Oh, God.
Trying to think of like what else we can like pick apart for this episode. Cause, I mean, it's a light one, but I feel like we should still like focus on things.
I also feel like it was a bit fast-paced, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I guess for Anne, like, how do you guys feel about Anne at this point? Like, now that we're 6 episodes deep, the truth is sort of revealed, right? Like, there's no more lying. Anne can start putting a little more faith in her parents. Like, how are you guys feeling about her at this point?
She's a good protagonist. She has a lot of maturity. She knows that there's a lot of... She has a target on her back, basically, but she'll do anything to protect the planners, but also try to show the planners her lifestyle for once. Also trying to catch up on her own life, which is pretty great. And pretty tricky for writing. It's pretty tricky for writing, to be honest, because you gotta focus. You need to have a good set of pacing, and that's what I kind of focus on when it comes to shows as a whole. It's writing and pacing, and the pacing so far is pretty good. What I'm seeing, so.
I mean, how do you feel about Anne, Pickle?
I mean, she's under a lot of pressure right now. She has to deal with, I mean, they kind of said it all in the first episode with her stating off all the things she has to do and then doing that awkward face. And she still hasn't totally exposed everything. I mean, she said no more lying, but she hasn't talked about. No, that's kind of a painful plot hole in this season right now is the fact that they haven't yet mentioned Sasha or Marcy.
Right.
Like, what about their parents? Aren't they worried at all?
Yeah, who
knows? I think some of us kind of thought that Dr. Jan was gonna, because it was so early, even before season 3. Like, the stuff was gonna come out. There's like a theory, Dr. Jan adopted Sasha because Sasha had that attitude of being like the bad girl.
And the hair thing.
Yeah, with the ponytail.
Yeah, that was a dumb fun theory.
It was.
Yeah.
But yeah, we haven't seen any of their parents. That's so weird. Yeah. Maybe the second half, but.
Well, I just... Oh, go ahead.
They have to mention something. They can't just leave them open.
Yeah, I think at some point we're gonna get to them, but I guess
we have to.
I'm just thinking it's because I'm sort of seeing it from Anne's perspective here. Because I mean, the fact it's just something you brought up earlier right now, Pickle. Like when you mentioned how Anne doesn't completely hold them everything. I feel like it's still sort of like the pressure she's feeling from episode 1 that's still like clawing away at her somehow. Like I feel like what we're seeing here is that Anne, she's still like she's still not quite ready to just unload all of this, I guess, in a way. Like, I'm not really sure how to put it in words yet because I haven't had the time to think about it that much. But I think even so, yeah, the truth is still all out there. Like, she's not too great at processing all this. I'm not really sure how to put it perfectly, but
how
like that.
How is she gonna process it all at once? Because I feel like I like how they're doing it because she's like, in a way, doing it piece by piece. That first episode was like a first piece of it. That I think last week, or there was a prior episode, there was like another piece she was trying to hide. And then when it came to that junkyard scene, she kind of said more about what was going on and why that robot attacked them. So, but I feel like it's gonna maybe the Christmas episode would probably like maybe Anne trying like saying the whole thing, especially with what happened to Marcy and stuff.
So like Christmas is when she like finally like, but
right,
we still don't know if Anne told them about Marcy and Marcy's condition.
Or Sasha.
Yeah,
I mean, the story she gave them was that they finished charging the box and they opened, but oh no, it was Anne and the planters that got transported instead of the three girls. And then she opened up that apparently she had powers and she had punched the king in the face, but they still, unless they were telling him stuff off screen, which I really hope they didn't do. That would be
that would be dumb.
Yeah.
That would be dumb.
Honestly, I don't think they did. I think we still haven't really gotten that conversation of Anne just sitting. I mean, we really need a conversation. Just the idea of Anne just like finally unloading everything that happened. We still haven't really had any hints of that happening at all. And I think and I guess it might have not happened between Anne Stormman and Mr. X because it looks like Anne's powers like really drained a lot out of her. So like, I'm guessing like these episodes basically happened like I'm guessing Mr. X literally happened like the day after or something, right? Like Anne got a full night's rest in Anne's Terminator, then like woke up, they went to Go, and then they decided they were going to go watch a movie or something. I mean, I'm thinking like,
yeah, that's what it looks like because like Anne's parents are still like pumped up after what happened.
Yeah, like they haven't like these characters. I mean, I'm just seeing this from Am's perspective. We already know that she's the type to like compartmentalize all this stuff, right? Like put it away, not focus on it, and just have her mind be taken by other things. So I'm just keep myself sane, keep myself like keep myself from like not always asking how Sasha and Marcy are doing or where their parents are. I always just try to look at it through Anne's eyes here because what we know about her, she's obviously going to try and like avoid subjects like that, right? Because she hates feeling uncomfortable with those type of things, right? I mean, we saw that back in Reunion, the first temple. So I'm just thinking, honestly, I'm just thinking that it's how to keep myself sane.
Yeah, I do kind of feel like the final 3 episodes are gonna like be more serious. So
that definitely does sound like what Amphibia has done in the past, which is totally amping things up all of a sudden.
She's been doing that previous seasons. She's been doing in season 1. They did in season 2 as well. So
yeah, Amphibia loves to suddenly hit it into overdrive,
which is great. Just good.
But at what cost?
Yeah, it's painful if you watch it weekly. It's painful if you watch it weekly, but if you binge it, you're just like, whoa, holy shit, this is amazing. Why was anyone even complaining? Right? Like, it sucks. It sucks, but like, it is what it is. It is what it is.
And did this, like, for you guys, did it feel like the segment was the way the segment ended off felt like the end of the second act, and we were still missing like a few more minutes after that, after the end, like everything with the FBI agents, it felt like it ended so abruptly. Like we were going to get like one more scene of like one more like confrontation,
Maybe it's kind of like this is what the FBI, this is what Mr. X is doing, and maybe like when we see like ending scenes of other episodes, we'll probably find out like, oh, he's doing this now. Oh God, because they've been doing it.
Oh, go ahead. Like, who's going to speak? I didn't even see.
I finished. Pickle.
I think it was just supposed to be kind of anticlimactic because this isn't the big FBI confrontation. Obviously, this is just their introduction. They're gonna get to the more intense stuff later.
Yeah, this was just supposed to be a tease to them. It's just like how much of a threat they can be. I mean, they were really that. They were like just this. I mean, I guess you guys can't see what I'm doing with my hands, but like they were super close. Like I was just like. That's the problem with being on podcast. But like, yeah, they were super close to just capturing them. Also, something they definitely are something to be aware of.
Yeah,
and I'm guessing like they pay voice actors by the day, so hopefully, like they had RuPaul in for a few more lines from other episodes.
Right, which I'm pretty excited for. Because he's a good one.
Come back, and it's just RuPaul has no voice lines. Sorry, we only hired him for one day. Ran out of time.
Yeah, Jenny. I just wondered like how much does it cost to have RuPaul in an episode? Probably a lot, right? That's where the majority of the budget goes to.
How much would it cost for Whoopi Goldberg?
These guys are going to be expensive as hell.
I think. In season 1, budget went to Lean on Me. Season 2 went to the Anne versus Andrea's fight scene. Season 3, it's all voice actors.
I'm just running through the episode.
Yeah, trying to see what else we have there.
Did you guys bring up how like Hop Up asked about like was this a church, and then Anne just like basically.
Oh, that!
Yeah,
I like that line so much.
But Christianity exists in Amphibia. Good to know.
Oh yeah, but it's also pretty. It's also clever in a way because most movie theaters have mosaics on the roofs, which I don't know why, to be honest. Maybe that those were like churches back in the day or whatever. But I like that touch. I like that touch so much.
We should probably talk about Sprig's birthday.
Pardon? What were you gonna say?
We should probably talk about Sprig's birthday.
Okay, like have we covered everything?
Honestly, basically, we picked apart like everything we can.
Yeah.
Nothing but bones at this point.
Like Anne's grandma.
Oh, yeah. Anne's grandma. I just remember thinking like Matt said Anne's design is based off his grandma, right? Like the big afro that Anne has is something that like his grandma had. So I think I was sort of in this. I think her grandma's design sort of had it. So I thought that was kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
Like, did they? I'm not sure. I don't remember this, but did they say whose side she was on? Like,
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, Anne just said, "Grandma, oh hi, blah 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 blah." I just had a sandwich, and that was all we got.
I just had a sandwich, Grandma. Don't mind me.
Oh, we also had that Sonic reference, like.
Right. How do we miss that?
Like, is the I require acceleration like based on a different Sonic quote, or?
I believe so.
Does he say I have a need for speed? I have no clue. Does Sonic say I have a need for speed? I feel like something's. Wait, is it?
It is.
I have no clue. I'm not a Sonic fan.
No. Matt and his Sonic references.
Yeah, that nerd. Jeez.
What a nerd.
He is. My God, I just love the fact that Amphibia, like you would not expect Amphibia to have like so many different influences, but geez, like it has like we're talking like Zelda, Sonic, Dragon Ball Z, Rare, like tons of different, like the Ghibli films, like tons of different properties that have influenced the show's identity. Like it's and it's just called the Funny Frog Show. So like you never expect something only titled the Funny Frog Show would have something like that.
It's like all these properties like in a blender.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then it's like Mickey Mouse is like looking like ominously through like the glass mixing bowl or mixing jug.
Oh man.
Oh, we also got those Suspicion Island cutouts
Didn't
in
talk
the
about
storage
that.
room.
Oh, the cutouts?
Yeah, there was a
Talked
cutout of
about
like
the poster.
Hunter and Constantine, like the girl's name.
Vivicus?
Huh.
Like I remember Hunter, like the guy with like the cyborg guy.
Oh yeah, the people from Civil War, right?
Oh.
Yeah, they're in the storage room, like the cutouts, and then I think that's about it for references.
Honestly, I should have went back to check out all the references. Like I was being too lazy with this episode.
Yeah, there must be some screenshot with like carefully labeled 45 billion references from all those movie posters.
But yeah, I think I covered all those references.
Mhm.
Oh, the ant spaghetti.
Oh, the
profile
profile
picture.
picture.
I mean, yeah, that's so in character for like
A mother.
parent. Yeah, for a
A
mother.
mother.
Keeping like.
And this show is so based. I love it.
Okay, so I think are there any final thoughts or not? Any final details we need to cover before we go on to the next segment?
Not really.
Oh no, yeah, I think we've squeezed out everything we can from this episode.
Squeeze to try.
Okay. So I think we can go on to Sprig's Birthday, which was directed by Jen Strickland, written by Todd McClintock, storyboards by Elysia Arosha and Danny Ducker. So the segment starts off with Anne and Sprig are doing they're reading through books for research to get back to Amphibia, but while Anne's reading Dante's Inferno, Sprig has made a giraffe made out of books, and that's Anne's cue that they need a break. So they do finger football, like the paper football thing, when Hop Pop and Polly walk in suspiciously. And then eventually we find out that it's actually Sprig's birthday, and then they present to him this kind of like
Mud crown.
The mud crown, yes. And they sing a little song, and Anne is kind of shocked that she didn't realize it was she never knew it was Sprig's birthday. She kind of didn't even know his age.
But we did.
Yeah, but we did. We knew.
Yeah.
That was our biggest concern. And then basically the process of someone like in Amphibia on someone's birthday, they would wear, or I guess in terms of frog tradition, they would wear the mud crown, and then they would take the time to reflect. And then it cuts to Sprig like looking out the window.
So deep
For like 5 seconds, and then he's just done.
He's about to cry. I think he's about to cry and say, "You know what? Nah." All right, let's have
The
fun.
big shimmering eye.
I know. The eyes were watery.
Yeah, so
Sprig, peak character design.
yeah, especially with Ferocia on this.
Oh yeah, I love the beady eyes she always gives Sprig. Like I don't know, it just adds something. It just really adds something.
Yeah, so they're about to go back to just like streaming TV shows when Anne stops them all, and then she wants to give Sprig like the best birthday ever. And then like the mud crown gets tossed out the window and hits Mr. Beanchoy.
Oh, that was so unneeded. Like they
Poor boy.
Why couldn't it just be mud that just gets on his head? Like, didn't they really need to knock him out?
Oh, it's mud.
Oh.
Well, and it's pretty. They probably just use dirt and just put water in it. It's made a shape of it pretty quickly. Because Mr. Boonshay was doing gardening, so
Yeah, so Anne decides to take Sprig out, and then like they travel through all those like the pothole infested road. I mean, I guess infrastructure gets a D in LA, but you
yeah.
get this montage of Anne and Sprig like going to the mall, getting dressed up, getting on some rides, eating out, skipping Hollywood, and then and then well, as they're leaving the what's it called, the observatory, like we see Anne like sneaks in a gift. They pretty much drive home, and then like Anne is asking Sprig like what he thought about everything, and Sprig's like really happy, and then he mentions that it's in the top 3, like this birthday was in the top 3 that he's had, and then that kind of catches Anne off guard.
They felt so violated.
Yeah, like Anne like was like insulted by that, and then in an attempt to like get the number 1 spot, she gets the idea of like taking him to like the balloon, the hot air balloon. I forgot. I don't know the proper term for these like areas. Just like hot air balloon ride, I guess.
Yeah, launch zone. So, like hot air balloon launch zones or something. I don't think.
Okay.
Yeah, launch zones. I'm just guessing. I have no clue that's the actual
Balloon rides.
Yeah, I guess balloon ride. So then, like, Mr. Boonshoy drives them there, and then they're about to ride one, and they come across that like horrifying clown balloon. But then, and then like the guy there like offers to take them up, but then like immediately refuses because like there's a high wind alert.
You know what that reminds me of? The hot air balloon and the guy. You ever seen Killer Clowns from Space?
Yeah, I've seen some clips of it. Like
It
my
reminds me of
nephews-
that.
Yeah, like it reminded me of it, but I haven't watched the movie. Just like the
That
face,
too. Mhm.
and then like this Team Rocket James looking haircut looking guy.
Haircut.
Like he's the one like operating this. Then like while he goes out, he lets them like he assumes they're not gonna like take it up because of the wind alert, and lets them just sit inside the basket. But then Anne immediately like ignites the burner, and then they like suspend in the air, but they assume they'll stay tethered. But then like eventually like the tether comes off, and then they're airborne, and don't know how to steer properly.
They are hard to drive, so
Yeah, so then like they have to navigate through the city while Anne controls the burner. Sprig uses his tongue to like swing the balloon around all these like skyscrapers. Yeah, we get a bunch of gags. And then eventually like they reach that point with the crane with like the very pointy end, and then they jump off, and then like they miraculously like survive from like the palm tree and the and like this random hot dog stand umbrella doesn't break under the weight of their pressure, and then they eventually fall. And then and it keeps going with it goes to like the fire escape, and then eventually they end up in the dumpster.
oh my god.
Yeah, it's a very elaborate. This reminds me of like, okay, I probably should. I'm going off topic, but yeah, they end up in the trash. Anne feels like she's ruined Sprig's birthday, but Sprig insists that that wasn't the case, and that he's just happy that he was able to spend time with Anne on his special day, and that's what made it the top 3. And Anne starts ugly crying, and then they embrace. And then Anne asks about what Sprig's favorite birthdays, like what were Sprig's top 2 birthdays, and then that's when Sprig explains like The first one was the one where he was born, and then the second one is when he got his hat from his parents. And then eventually Anne gives Sprig's gift, and it's like that telescope that has their names engraved on it. And the episode pretty much ends off with them heading home, thinking that there's no loose ends, and then
But
we cut to Mr. Boonchoy in the parking lot waiting for Anne and Sprig to return.
Mr. Boonchoy.
The bullying never stops, and
Oh my
Justice for
God.
Mr. Boonchoy.
He's
They
like,
better give him
he's-
some like huge bonus in the season finale or something.
yeah, so that was Sprig's birthday, and this was a very light episode, but at the same time, it was a very wholesome.
It was.
Yeah, it was a very wholesome episode.
For sure.
I guess I'll probably discuss it later, but as we all know, it was a Sprig. It's called Sprig's birthday, but it really was a little bit more focused on Anne's relationship with him, which I'll talk about that later.
Too many.
But I still enjoyed this episode. Like I still really liked. Did we get a lot? Like most of season 3 was a lot of Anne staying close to the planners, I guess.
Mhm.
So I think this was our like proper Spran segment that we haven't gotten since.
Like Hop 'em all, I think.
Was it Hopping Mall? That
I
feels
guess
like a long
True
been a
Colors
time.
had
while.
some strong Spran stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Right.
But it wasn't like
Yeah,
it
like,
wasn't really like
when I
a
think of True Colors, that's
Spran-centered
more of like
episode.
the pinnacle
Yeah.
of Amphibia. Like I'm trying to think about like just like a typical Spran adventure, which even Hopping Mall. Well, yeah, I think Hopping Mall would be a good.
Mhm.
Like that was the last time we just had a purely Spran episode, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been almost 10 episodes, more than that. Yeah, like okay, about 15 episodes. It kind of like looking back, it just kind of reminds you how much like season 2B had to focus on other other matters in a way.
Mhm.
But I think I've given most of my thoughts already. Pickle, what were your thoughts on this segment?
I liked it overall. Like you said, Spran for the first time in a while, which is great. Also, I think it's kind of really displaying how much more mature Sprig is since the beginning. With him talking about like, oh, I'm taking time to reflect. Oh, I really love everything. I don't know, he was just like very positive this episode. Just him being a little guy, all great and stuff. It felt like a callback to season 1, even more than like the rest of the season has, just because of the bringing back older themes like the friend punch and doing something she hasn't done in a while with the peer pressure stuff. Which honestly, I'm kind of conflicted on because I feel like the whole Anne getting over her peer pressure thing was a flaw she like finished. She grew out of like a long time ago, and it seems kind of weird to bring it back now out of all times. Or it wasn't peer pressure quite, but like her like compulsive need to like super please the people around her.
Yeah, I can see what you mean.
And that felt like a season 1 thing.
Yeah, especially when they hijacked the balloon. That was very like
Very
I mean,
season 1-esque.
yeah, Anne has been like
devious
pretty
lick.
responsible this season, and this was like what broke her.
Yeah, just
I feel like if Anne has learned anything from all of this, it should be don't pressure your friend into doing stuff that isn't a good idea on their birthday.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean that's definitely there. But I guess. Oh no! I'll let people keep going. I'll let you keep going.
Oh, I gotta say, the background character gags this season have been so good,
Oh
and
yeah.
it just keeps coming. The one
Mhm.
guy who's ordering 20 hot dogs for himself.
50.
Was it like Matt? Like that straight up looked like Matt. Didn't
Yeah,
it?
that looked
Like
like
the
Matt. I'm
hoodie.
assuming it was voiced like he voiced that character because it looked exactly like him with the sweater as well.
Yeah.
I think it was a call out post.
Then there was also the guy. There was also the guy, the therapist.
Yeah, he's like, I finally got over my fear of direct eye contact.
Yeah, like I was saying.
And then the
I think that was my
comedian.
favorite one. Yeah, I think that was my favorite one out of all of them. Like when he freaked out.
He just freaked out.
He flipped the
So
table
sad.
and then ran away with his arms waving
Yeah.
in the air.
The comedian one was pretty fun too.
They're the guys proposing, and those were the same guys from the TV gag during
Yeah.
the chase.
Which was great.
From Thai food, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I guess it makes sense why he was willing to. That guy treated his TV like a son and was willing to give it to the other guy, which now kind of makes sense why he was able to trust that dude.
Yeah.
I hope
Nick,
we
what were
keep
your-
seeing them and they get their own very, very, very minor little story arc of their own.
Oh yes, the G plot.
The G plot.
Yeah,
But,
no,
Pixels,
that is pretty fun.
Pixels, what were your thoughts on this segment?
It was a very fun episode. I like this. The side guys were pretty hilarious. A man trying to make sure that he gets the best birthday ever is. I always say this sometimes but it is always cliche when I see stuff like this. But I like it because it's a different twist on it, and that's what Amphibia's been doing a lot recently. I noticed because you see a lot of very cliche episodes in cartoons recently, but Amphibia does it very differently. That I enjoy it because yes, it's not story oriented, but it's also in a way I don't feel like it's episodic, and I like it like that. Oh, poor Mr. Boon Choi. Well, he first got a mud crown dropped on his head and just got, and he was just sitting on the car for.
You got ditched there.
He got ditched there for God knows how long he was in that car. But it's a great episode. I like this episode a lot.
All right, thank you, Pixels. Nick, what were your thoughts on this segment?
Overall, pretty good. I really like the wholesome energy of this episode. It was really carried by the music too. I feel just it felt magical in a way, almost like something you'd see from a Disney movie. So I thought it was pretty cool. I know Anne's motivation this episode and a lot of her actions are sort of do you think it's more controversial? I don't know. I don't think it's really needed, but I think it did throw off. I know it threw off some people, but I think it's in a weird way. It's something I really did like, though, because even so, yeah, Anne was being selfish and kind of pushy here. I sort of did like that because here's the thing. Even so, the idea for the three girls are for them to grow into their best selves, and Anne's clearly pretty close to being her best self. I still feel like it's realistic in a way that she still has her screw ups, right? Because I guess people you never stop growing, even if you're getting close to a better version of yourself. It's just you're still gonna have screw ups like that. And I guess for this episode, I also understood her motivation on a different level because what I'm thinking here is Anne really appreciates Sprig's presence in her life, and he's really her first non-toxic friendship, right? Someone who taught her that the friendship she had of Sasha especially, and Marcy were just not healthy at all, and that there needed to be a change. So I think when she realizes that she's in turn not being the best friend she could be, not knowing his birthday, not knowing how old Sprig is, she really wants to make up for that. And then that's sort of how I saw this episode. And so honestly, when Sprig revealed that she's his best friend, not because she knows these few things. That was really sweet, just. And then Anne's ugly cry, like I found it to be so adorable. So I think like I really did enjoy this episode because it really felt like this motivation for Anne that just made a lot of sense to me, and something that drew a lot from season 1 too. Like it really did feel like an episode built up from season 1. Oh, go ahead. Like I think you guys were going to say something.
Pickle, go ahead. You were going to say something.
Oh, I find it a little bit sad that her being written as a 15-year-old and her like only friend is an 11-year-old.
Yeah,
it's not her fault. All the other friends.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Like your best friend in the world
and
is literally like a child.
And like seeing this episode, like I kind of wished that Anne was like 15 because I feel like that makes because even though it's already written that way, so I shouldn't really wish Anne was 15 because like the show has been written already with her kind of 15, so I kind of like how Anne is kind of this older friend who she's an older sister at the same time, like an older friend who's like seen a bit more than Sprig has, and like her worldview is a lot, just those few years makes her worldview a lot different from Sprig's, and I kind of like how that's always been utilized with the way like her and like Sprig's innocence and Anne's kind of like more, I'm guessing, jaded worldview or jaded perspective.
Yeah, jaded sounds right, especially after everything she's been through. So I think, it sort of is that sweet innocence of a child, right? And I like that. That's sort of what like Sprig does for Anne, and I like that, like. He's really simple, and I think that's just something like she needs for a friend.
And I think the part with the ugly crying, like that scene pretty much made me feel like this was a spiritual successor to Fiddle Me This. Because that whole episode was about like Hop Pop doing like everything he could for Sprig. And like pushing him pushing him and like the whole story to the edge until it all came to a head, and then eventually ends up with like Sprig just being grateful for like his time with Hop Hop, and then they reconcile, and that gave me like this episode like kind of gave me those similar vibes.
Same thing with Sprig Gets Schooled.
Yeah, same thing with Sprig Gets Schooled, especially with Hop Hop again. Yeah. But arguably, I think Fiddle Me This was probably more of a Hop Hop episode than a Sprig episode, and then Sprig Gets Schooled was more of a Sprig episode with Hop Hop. And then, I really liked Nick's points. Like, I think looking at this episode, I kind of like understood why Anne was a little bit more. So I guess this episode and Fight at the Museum was when Anne kind of like was willing to break the rules.
Yeah.
But with good intentions in mind.
Yeah, like while they do grow up and while they learn from their mistakes, like I still think like if there's an extreme case, like if there's like a big enough motivation, they're gonna break the rules, right? Like even if a character learns not to lie, like obviously Anne did, like. But if there's like a big enough reason for her to lie, like she's gonna do it. That's sort of like the takeaway I get from this with the development.
So we got the. Oh, so I'm pretty sure. What's his name? Roger Craig Smith voiced the balloon guy.
Yeah, he voiced the clown. Yeah, that was. I don't even know what to think of that whole cameo right there. It was pretty fun, I guess. I liked Anne. I still like the fact that Anne like screwed him over in the end and probably got him fired. That was pretty funny.
Oh, especially when they start like screaming in the distance and it just shows that like the clown guy's face.
Yeah, he just knew he was screwed at that point.
Just done with everything.
Yeah, he looks like dead inside. And he just like honks his nose at the end too. And then we got the gag with the random comedian, like was that
Yeah.
I'm guessing that was the voice director, just judging by the credits.
Oh, Roxanne Cole. No, you said voice director. Oh, never mind.
Eden, I forgot the last name.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's probably just another like crew cameo, basically. Yeah, I like that they're doing it. You know, it's just sort of just gives it that nice energy.
Oh, so I think it's Eden Regal, and I think she voices Basha in the Owl House, and she's also the voice
really?
director for all these Disney TVA shows.
Wow, huh. I had no clue.
Nice.
Really? Wow. Like, what did you say her name was again? Like
Eden Regal, but I'm just making the assumption because like that was the only other like female.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I just yeah. She does look like that one. Yeah. She does look like the cameo too. Yeah, I think you're right about that.
So we got the cloud, the city, that weird billboard for like insurance. That was like perfectly like smarmy.
What did it say again?
Like, I'm going to injured question mark. Would you like to be?
I know. Didn't the back have something too? It said like, "Please call this number. I need I need your money. Seriously." I think it was something like that. I can't remember.
Where was that?
Like there was on the back of the billboard too. Like they said like there was like
half too.
Yeah.
I paid for this side. Please contact me, or something like that.
Yeah, please call me. And then with the way Sprig was like using his tongue to like maneuver the balloon, I felt like when Anne said he was getting better at that, I feel like that was just like a tease for Spider Sprig.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The big episode of this season. Like we've been building up to this point. Spider Sprig. Yeah. We're getting.
Can't wait for that episode.
That's gonna be fun. But yeah, no, it's crazy though because like has his tongue always been that long? Like I swear that thing was going far when they started maneuvering around the city in the hot air balloon.
Something else I think might be a tease is they've mentioned the movie Fumigator like 3 times now. I'm wondering if maybe Hollywood Hop Hop will have him starring in Fumigator or something.
Wait, so I know they mentioned it in Ant's Terminator. Where else did they mention it?
It was Ant's. I think Ant's Terminator might have been the start of that. I can't remember seeing it before because I do know like that's
there were, like, posters for it before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, maybe there were. Yeah, no, also, maybe that was maybe the mall episode because I think that would be an appropriate place for posters.
Yeah, so we got. I'm really in the. I'm trying to look up the regular theme song opening, but Sprig looks through a telescope, right?
Yeah, he looks through a telescope.
Oh, okay.
Nope. So it's. I mean, I'm not sure if it's 100% intentional, but it's still like a nice little thing, you know, a nice little nod at the intro. I mean, I'm betting we're probably going to get like an emotional scene of that telescope coming back at the end. Like, calling it right now. That telescope's going to come back in a meaningful way towards the end of the series.
Yeah, it's going to be like the key to saving the world in the finale.
Oh man, just like bludgeoning anyone with the thought of the F word in mind.
So yes.
Everything's connected. Oh yeah, and the Matt cameo. I'm assuming it's the Matt cameo. It's just like he asked for 50 hot dogs, and then it's like, oh, you order them all for a party? No.
Oh, what do
No.
you? No,
Why
what do
you
you ask?
It's like so like cheerful about it.
Yeah, that was great.
He has absolutely no shame.
I was kind of hoping they would say chili dogs just to make another like Sonic
Oh,
reference.
Sonic reference, yeah.
They probably, honestly, probably wanted to, but they held it back. They're like, nah, we've referenced Sonic too many times this season already. I think I feel like they practically hit in a Sonic reference in almost every single Earth episode of this point. Like I could have sworn every week we mentioned like a Sonic reference somewhere.
I think the day Matt says there are too many Sonic references will be the day that, like, the show is getting taken over by another creator.
But that scene where they like Anne and Sprig like do that dramatic fallout from the balloon, it kind of reminded me of Taking Charge, where like it was like such a like, it was probably like the most like cartoony moment of the show with like
Yeah, they get zapped and they get
Oh, yeah.
thrown
yeah, and they get like
like
flung to the
50,000.
mountain.
Yeah, holy crap. Yeah, that was like, yeah, that was, like what?
Like-
do you think this moment beats it for like the most cartoony moment of Amphibia all time?
I'm not sure because like I know like Amphibia is already like pretty cartoony with its physics,
Yeah.
of course. Like we don't care about that. It's just like, but when it really like overdoes it, it gets more noticeable.
I feel like after the rain takes the cake for that. Because remember when Hot Pop like grabs your legs? What the fuck was that?
Oh, he was able to like swing. Okay, well at least we know
Yeah,
Hot Pop's like
no.
strong enough. Like at least we can push our like we can suspend our disbelief.
Man, they're like a
Hot Pop being, like,
helicopter right
jacked.
there. They're like a helicopter right there. That was crazy. Like, what? Do you think this is in top 3 for like craziest cartoon moments in Amphibia or something?
Maybe.
But like what happened again? Like they were
Actually, wait.
falling through the air. Did they bounce? I can't remember who we were having. Like, did they bounce off something?
Actually,
and like,
I
go
actually
ahead.
forgot about Thai Feud where like the truck
Oh, the
smashes through a
chase
bunch of
scene.
it smashes through a bunch
Yeah.
of like garbage and then hits the turtle shell and then does a flip and goes
The
like 5
Mario
stories
Kart
into the air.
reference.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was very
That was a
cartoony.
great reference.
Yeah, that's it. That one takes the cake then.
Yeah, that's definitely the number one. Yeah, we talked about the comedian. We talked about that same family that that same family in the new normal where the Anne and the Planet first teleported.
Oh, the
That
home
same family
movers.
appears
Yeah.
again. Yeah, with the one with the mattress that Sprig and Anne bounce off of. So I don't know. That was just a
Yeah, it's kind of nice. I really do like the fact you can sort of see like these background characters have their own individual stories within like what's going on
yeah.
here. I mean, that one blonde guy. I mean, like, I'm not saying anything, but he appears with a different girl in every episode. I'm not saying anything, of course, but like, hold on, like, that's kind of suspicious.
I mean, I assume it's just for the budget, but yeah, we can assume they have these.
yeah, we can make fun of a little story right there.
I think we covered a lot of this episode already.
Yeah, we've gone for a lot of it. I think it's just these 2 episodes were light, you know, like nothing too huge happening, right? So I think like, yeah, I think that's sort of part of that's like part of it right now.
I mean, I can probably maybe I can start talking about my
Oh yeah, go ahead. Actually,
my only.
yeah,
I guess
you've
my
been
only-
holding back. You've been holding back. I know you've been holding back. Go ahead.
Oh boy.
I guess my only gripe with this episode was that it's called Sprig's birthday, and we get that moment where Sprig is supposed to reflect on everything that's happened, and I was kind of hoping for something a little bit more substantial, and then like Sprig is like, looking out into out the window, deep in thought, and it just ends. And that's pretty much all we get for Spring. I mean, we still get the end, but just hold on. Let me pull up my notes. That I guess Sprig as the Sprig throughout the show, his whole character in general is his role as the sounding board for everything around him, whether it's the characters or the plot, is more interesting than Sprig the character himself. And that's not. I wouldn't say it's a bad thing, because it's a lot more vital to the show. And of course, Sprig's just a normal kid, and we've already we've seen these lessons that he's had to learn in a lot of other different media. So I guess what makes him stand out from from other young protagonists is that his connection with the other characters is a lot more meaningful and a lot more impactful for the story.
Yeah, plus I feel Sprig himself it's
more evidence for the fact that Sprig is the main character.
But he's not that Sprig on his own is not when he has his own standalone episodes, only the best moments are really when he's interacting with the core cast, and Hop Hop, and even he doesn't really interact. Yeah, or other people
Ivy's a great example.
Yeah, but Ivy's just the girlfriend. We saw Ivy on the Run, which was more Ivy focused than Sprig focused, but that had a lot to do with Sprig, with her connection to Sprig, and his adventures outside the valley were what kind of started the conflict with Ivy and her own mother. And then, but I guess the advantage is that since Sprig is such a blank slate, he doesn't bring that that messy emotional baggage that into the friendship that with Anne, and he doesn't have that same baggage Anne, Sasha, or Marcy, or even Hop Hop.
Yeah,
he can balance Anne out. Yeah, Sprig's just the positive cue for everything, just a wholesome good friend to balance Anne's messy relationships with everybody else.
Right.
That's just
And even within in context to the show, how the show plays out, it's when all this drama comes his way, he's pretty much the entry point for the audience. And then seeing last week when I mentioned
you're so right about that.
when I mentioned Polly was more interesting than Sprig, it's mostly because since Polly doesn't have that same responsibility that Sprig has to Anne's development, and then by extension the show and the audience for the show, she has kind of that luxury of having her own story on the side, and having her own supporting cast with Michelangelo and Frobo. Because Polly has her own life outside of the family, but while Sprig is very much his supporting cast is the family itself.
I guess in season 1 he had Ivy and Maddie, but season 2 definitely shifted away from those two a lot.
Right. I don't know, so just I don't know, I started thinking about this before Sprig's birthday happened, and then once I saw the episode itself, it only reinforced that idea that okay, even in an episode titled Sprig's Birthday, where you kind of hope we would get something a little bit more substantial with Sprig, it's mostly about Anne.
Yeah.
Which is still okay, because that's probably a more interesting route than what Sprig was thinking about. Because I know even Sprig, if you think about all of Sprig's strongest moments in the show, they have a lot more to do with his relationship with Anne or other characters, rather than his own
True Colors was a good example.
True Colors, Reunion,
Reunion, yes.
Yeah,
I don't know.
character.
Hopping Mall. I guess Hopping Mall was kind of evenly split between the two. I think that's the only
Yeah.
time when
I
Sprig
mean-
has gotten the same amount of focus as Anne in a big moment like that.
Right, like Sprig's moments are like have less screen time, but they're like a lot more substantial. Like his best moments, while like the moments that like his standalone episodes, like Thai Feud. Okay, Thai Feud, I guess in a way that related. I think what made Thai Feud work in a way that like Cracking Mrs. Croker didn't was because his story was more about like related to Anne's mom. So like even in that
Honestly,
regard,
it's kind of funny. The only time when the story is like fully centered on Sprig is when he's being a like little shit. So
Isn't that great?
Yes.
I don't know.
Let's
He's still
think-
very likable. Like that.
Yeah.
You worried that him getting the
Yeah.
focus on that out of everything would make him less likable. But honestly, I find him very sweet and nice.
Yeah, yeah. Even when he's being a little scamp, I'm still laughing at his antics. 'Cause, I mean, he's like, even so, yeah, we treat Sprig like he's our golden child. Like he's still, but at that point, he was only like 10 years old. I mean, he's still like a little child, right? Like he's only 11 right now. Like so, you can't expect too much maturity from Sprig.
but yeah, that was like the whole thing I was thinking about. Like Sprig is more interesting as like a plot device than as a character.
Oh, hey, all right, calm down there. Don't
I
call
mean,
him a plot.
I think he works.
Don't call him a plot.
I think he works well in the role he has. I don't mind that
that's-
he's
Yeah, I
not
don't,
necessarily gonna get all the focus on
I
himself.
don't say that as an insult because like Sprig does like when Sprig has when the spotlight like just like brushes by him, that's when he's at his best. But like when the show just like keeps the spotlight on him, like over time, like it can kind of get a little, I guess, a little like too much. Like the longer we focus on Sprig, like the more he like descends into like madness and like over the top like decisions. Like what Cracking Mrs. Croker, he ended up like breaking and entering.
Broken
then,
Punishment,
like-
same kind of deal.
Yeah, and then Thai Feud, like he wanted, like his main goal was to ruin a man's livelihood. But he did to be
Relatable.
part of the family. Part of the family business. And then I guess in this case, like Sprig didn't have a lot of moments, but it kind of makes sense because he's not like a complex character.
Yeah, because it's
His
yeah.
complexities comes from how he motivates other characters, and he works well
Yes.
that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because Sprig, he's just supposed to be like the simple little guy that Anne really needed in her life. Like, there's no baggage to Sprig that makes him like a bad person. Like, there's nothing really. It's just sort of like what I said before, like the sweet innocence of a child, right? Like, that's what Anne really needed. Like, it just gives me like Ghibli vibes. I know, like Matt said that like he's inspired by Ghibli movies, right? So I feel like Sprig, in a way, sort of is like a Ghibli main character because like I've only seen like one Ghibli movie, if I'm being honest, like Spirited Away. But like I think like the idea is like the main character, like they're very simple and like sure they can be a little scamp, but it's like what the movie's really driven by is just that innocent heart of a child, and I think that's like what's really going on here with Sprig. And just regarding just how, and I guess like even so, I really don't want to, and I don't want to call him a plot device.
I mean,
That's a really bad thing to say.
That
does
was me like
sort of-
boiling down like 10 minutes of conversation
Yeah.
into like a simple buzzworthy sentence.
Yeah.
That even if it seems cruel, I mean it as a compliment because like Sprig's
Yeah.
role does like Sprig's moments with Anne and Hop Hop do elevate the show.
Yeah, it's
But-
done really well.
Yeah, so I meant that as a compliment.
Yeah.
Also, his
Okay.
comic
Yeah.
relief stuff is always great.
Yeah.
If I said Sprig was better as comic relief than as a character, then yeah, you guys should have
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you guys should have
like-
come for my throat. Like
Yeah.
But
I
I
think,
don't know that.
yeah.
Do you guys know the term for a character who like exists to further other characters' plots? It must be, considering how many protagonists have fallen into that lately.
Wait, so is there a definition for a character that exists just to help the main character?
Yeah, I think there actually is one, but
Is
I
there a
can't
term for that?
remember. I'm trying to think. I know you can find him like what is that one like TV tropes? I'm pretty sure you can find it in there, but like I know what you're talking about, Pickle, but I cannot remember the exact term for it.
I think it's called Gone. Let me Google it.
They're definitely. I feel like I've even read that before in the past, but yeah, I think honestly, yeah, I
Is it
think
silent
a lot of what
character?
you're saying, like a lot of what you're saying does make sense, and I kind of gotta agree with it. But I don't really have a problem with it personally. Like, I don't. And I guess this has sort of been my own take on Sprig I've had for months. But I don't really think he needs a character arc or anything. Like he doesn't exactly need to like go through any big developments because I feel like the thing we have now for Sprig, like he's very strong. Like I think he's already very strong on his own here. Like on top of like just what he means for the show itself, I feel like carries Sprig enough. You know, just because we have like the toxic friendships that Anne has with Marcy and Sasha, then we just have like the nice genuine friendship that Anne has with Sprig, and I feel like that's just. Yeah, I guess for me that's just enough.
Right. Like I think I just thought about this a little bit more for Sprig because of course we have Anne, and then we had like even throughout the show, like Hop Hop has gone a lot of like we get into Hop Hop's head very often, like a lot of Hop Hop's like struggles are like very relatable, so it's like really easy to like latch onto him. And then even in this like even 2 weeks ago we had like or last week we had Polly having her like own goal to work towards. So like it kind of felt like Sprig was like singled out, but it's not it's not a bad thing because like it's not something Sprig really needed. But it was just noticeable for me.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely can't like I can't really disagree with the idea that like Paulie's more interesting than Sprig right now because like he doesn't because I feel like compared to everyone else, Sprig's been chilling since True Colors. I'll be honest, like,
I mean, well, you could talk about Polly. Like Polly has a lot more similarities with Anne in terms of like she started off like a lot different to where she was now.
yeah.
Like, what did Anne say? Like, about that character in the movie they watched that they were flawed but had a lot of room
Yeah,
to grow.
yeah, a little on the nose. Like Amphibia's been patting himself on the back since episode. Well, since like the new normal, dude. Like,
Yeah, since the new normal, they've been making those references a
yeah,
lot more.
yeah. They've been. Yeah, oh man.
And even
They,
okay, and even in this episode where Anne's reading Dante's Inferno, and she's like, "Oh, it's a B plus for story, but F minus for
Oh
getting
my
us home."
god.
That like, I just thought about this episode and a bunch of other episodes immediately.
yes. See, I would have never expected a Dante's Inferno reference from the show. If I'm being honest, like when the episode opened up, I was like, "What the hell?" Like, I would have never expected that to be in the show. Ever.
Yeah, I'm surprised they flat out like said it.
Yeah, they just flat out put it out there like Dante's and like Anne literally said, yeah, I think at one point she even said like Paradiso, right? When she got to like when they got to the hot air balloons, like that's what that's like Paradiso is like it's I'm pretty sure it's
Let me look it
I
up.
think it's the story that Dante's Inferno is a part of. Like let me check that Paradiso. Dante.
It's a poem. The final.
Oh
part.
yeah, it's the third and final part of Dante's Divine Comedy. So yeah, it's basically okay. Basically, his journey through
Someone's
heaven.
gotta like remember the plot of Dante's Inferno and try to connect it to
Yeah,
the story arc of Amphibia at some point.
gotta imagine
Now this has been said.
Imagine someone doing that.
Todd McClintock wrote this episode.
That sounds
So
like
when-
something for later.
Let's see. I think were there any other books there?
Any other books she was reading? I know Sprig made like a giraffe out of books, but like honestly, I wasn't paying attention besides like the Dante's Inferno gag.
And I like that the Hollywood joke where they just like walk up to it and they don't give a shit, and then
they're just like and then they turn around and just leave. That was great. That was a great jab. That was a great jab at Hollywood. I like that. Also, probably one of the best scenes in that episode.
I think we covered everything.
But really, we're all out of stuff. No way. I mean,
Anyone got predictions for future episodes?
I mean,
Spider Sprig gonna be top 3 material for Amphibia. Top 3 material. From that right there. I'll argue about why Spider Sprig's like culmination of Sprig's. I'm messing around. Next week's gonna be
Sprig is gonna get struck down for copyright, and won't air until 2 weeks later. But unfortunately, it will leak on iTunes.
Oh God, it's painful. I think next week will be interesting. I guess I can say that because like we're I don't know. We got a Spider-Man parody, then we get like the Living Union, so I guess that's gonna be something.
What do you guys think they're gonna do for a Christmas episode when the show seems to be taking place in like February? You think they're just gonna like summerween it, where it's like, we're doing a special Christmas thing in March as a thing?
It's gonna be Christmas.
They better not time skip.
I think we're just gonna have to swallow the pill that like we're basically in December right now or something. I think that's just what I'm gonna do. Like I doubt that. I just think even so, the series clearly started with them being in fall. I think we're just going to have to accept the fact that like we're somehow still in November. We're still in like I don't know, say October, November. It's just somewhere close to Christmas. Because I feel like they're not going to do a time skip, honestly. Because if they did, I feel like we'd like encounter a ton of stuff that I don't think they want to tackle. Like even Hop Pop or Polly's birthday, even like that could be something. Or how even Anne's again, or Anne and the Boonchorn parents, like.
Oh, sorry for interrupting the speculation combo, but we also had the proposal scene.
Oh yeah. That was kind of fun. Like they went from
I will not
sharing TVs they went from sharing TVs to proposing. That was pretty funny.
Yo, do you think? Hopefully that went well after after that moment.
So honestly, that probably almost ruined it.
It'll be a funny story they tell later.
Imagine we
apparently that guy's name is Tyler, like the purple-haired one.
Oh, really?
And then they say like, "No, Tyler, I will not."
Wow.
I will not clown face you.
Yeah, it's pretty neat that they actually give them names. Like I'm pretty sure we saw Emily and like, I'm pretty sure we saw Emily standing next to like the blonde-haired guy too. This episode.
Yeah, when all those people are saying, "Oh yeah, we had that random gag of that guy saying, oh, it's also my birthday too." Like no one cares, dude. Like he just talked to himself, expecting like someone to reply.
He seemed kind of sad.
Yeah, literally no one cared. No one cared about that guy.
Yeah, so anyways, back to predictions. Like, I know next week is going to be a lot to take in. We just gotta. I guess I'm hoping we get a little bit more than that trailer shot at the end, because I feel like that could be how the episode ends off.
Yeah, that's what I'm scared of too.
But since we've known that for so long, I'd hope we get something else.
Yeah.
There's probably plenty they haven't shown us yet.
Yeah.
Right, I just hope that's not the end, because I know, like, Amphibia did have that habit of like in the 2B trailer, they gave us like the ending scenes for like multiple episodes. Like after the rain's ending was in the trailer. Essentially, the Second Temple's ending was in the trailer. Friender Frobo's ending was in the stinger of the trailer, 2B trailer. Like, hoping that's not the case for. Is it Olivia or Yunan? Olivia and Yunan, or Yunan and Olivia? Hold on, let me check.
Olivia Newman.
Olivia and Yunan. Okay.
Yeah.
What if the like flash scene is the end with the Olivia and Yunan and Marcial like covering their eyes and suddenly a white light comes up? I don't know. It seems like something like maybe in the climax of the episode.
Yeah,
Very end,
like
leaving us on some cliffhanger.
yeah, it sort of feels like they're. I mean, I really don't want it to go this way, but it sort of feels like they're going to almost escape with her, and then they get stopped. And I'd really like for them to just escape with Marcy, but I don't know.
I'm just hoping it doesn't end on either of those moments in the trailer. I just want
Something
I just need
fresh.
a little bit more. I need more information, especially like
It's like the season 2B trailer all over again, like spoiling the climax of that scene. Like,
I guess,
I think they did it for every episode of that trailer, if I remember correctly.
Like,
Yeah,
are
straight
we
up.
fine?
TV's trailer, they straight up showed us Sasha surrendering. I think they shouldn't have done that.
like, do you think it's fine to discuss our expectations for next week's episode
Yeah, sure.
before
I mean,
the episode airs?
honestly, well, yeah, let's go ahead and do it. Sure, why not?
Because okay, we are next week. It's going to be okay. This is episode 6 of season 3. At
Yep.
this point in season 2, we had Marcy at the gates, and then the episodes that followed this were the Newtopia arc, which pretty much, for a lot of people, shaped their view on 2A in general, in my opinion. So we have 3A. We know most people's thoughts on it. And then next week, are we going to get a batch of episodes? Well, we're going to get 2 episodes. Yeah, 3 episodes, 7, 8, 9. Are these episodes going to change our perception of 3A now? Especially when next week we're going to counter the Knight, who, as far as we're concerned, we've only seen him in a basement back in season 2. And now, are we going to have the case where we either learn enough about him to solidify him as like the big bad of the show itself, or are we just going to get like a glimpse of this entity in the background doing something and then saying 1 or 2 lines and then episode ends? That's what I'm slightly, I don't want to say concerned, but curious about, especially when this episode is titled Olivia and Yunan, which is going to eventually have to factor in Marcy as well.
Yeah, what I'm hoping, I know a lot of people are expecting like romance happening in this episode, but what I'm really just hoping for is just getting more details in the night and just knowing how Marsh is doing right now. I guess that's just really where my focus is on right now. So I think, yeah, I'm with you on that. Like, I'm really just thinking about how much focus they'll give to like certain like things in the episode.
Yeah, for sure. It's fun to speculate on all that, but this is like our first confirmed lore episode where we know for a fact we're going to get a ton dumped on us.
Yeah. There's probably going to be a lot to analyze. I'm expecting something like Sleepover, you know? No, also just both Sleepover and Day of the Aquarium were like they're both, I mean, this is probably going to be more frantic, sort of like Sleepover, where like they're running around like trying to rescue Marsh. And I think like we're probably going to get a ton of like background details, foreshadowing on like certain things, and then like, you know, just I think things surrounding Knight and Andreas. So I think that's going to be fun, you know, just fun to like look at and try to analyze.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess before we get to that point, I'm just trying to like look back at what I'm trying to look at what we have so far for 3A. And I guess how long was the Utopia arc? Episode 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so that was a lot more substantial. Not more substantial.
Honestly, it felt like it was a lot more of the season than
Yeah.
it was.
But at the end of the day, it was 6 segments. And then in the case for season 3, we're going to get 5 segments. One of them being the holiday special. It's just
Like, what are you thinking? What are you thinking?
I'm just hoping that like these next few episodes kind of, because I know I've seen a lot of I don't like discussing about other fan reaction, but I guess in the case of season 3, a lot of people wanted a little bit more about Anne talking about Sasha and Marcy.
Yeah, like.
And I think
No, keep going. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No. I'm still thinking about how like season 2A was a lot with the planners like making their way to Newtopia. There was like a clear goal, path, and objective. And then season 3 is a lot less like linear in that case, in that situation.
Yeah, it's
I
sort of like season 1 all over again. You know, it's harder to get that, even so things are progressing, like characters are changing. It's harder to get that feeling of progression because we don't really have like a structured start and then goal. Like we don't like we're not journeying to anything right now. Really, like we're just getting like. You know, I mean, like they're planning to get back to Amphibia. That's mentioned like in every episode, but like we don't really have like a set progression for that at all. If that makes sense.
Yeah, and
That's true that we came into this with like really heightened expectations. I mean, coming from season 2B, especially True Colors. I mean, we might have set our expectations too high for this season, just expecting it to suddenly be all this intense plot and lore, when that's really more of something they've only done in the later parts of the seasons in the past.
And I guess what season 1 had in its favor was that a lot of these these character dynamics and character growth was a lot more fresh because the characters had more of like a blank slate. But now like we're returning to that kind of similar format. But then we have to we're revisiting all these like dynamics again, and there's only so much you can do before we have to change focus.
Yeah, and like it's there's just a lot like these episodes have to tackle because like not only does I feel like the crew also wants to like make full use of this new environment, and on top of that they also have to like acknowledge the effect that True Colors had on this series. So I think I can understand where the frustrations are coming from, but I feel like for me, I'm still satisfied. Like I'm still happy with what I've gotten from the series. I mean, I can understand why it's really weird that like Anne hasn't said anything about Sasha and Marcy, but I don't know. I just keep clinging back to like what we've gotten from Anne in the past regarding things like that. Like, you know, she doesn't like to vent about this stuff, right? Like anything that makes her extremely uncomfortable. Like she likes to pretend that things are okay, and that's just sort of what I'm seeing here. Because like in the new normal, like right, like when they try to mention that Anne's taking on a lot right now, like she's really pressured. She just says like, "What? Oh, I have no clue what you guys are talking about. I have to do this and that and that," and you see the effect it has in her. So I think like that hasn't been resolved at all, and I still think that will come up somehow, but like I don't know, man. I just feel like we're just gonna have to wait. And then I say like before people call it quits yet, you know, just see what the rest of season 3A has to offer. So.
Yeah,
especially since.
Oh, go ahead, Pickle.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I've been talking for a while.
All right. About especially you talking about other fans' reactions, like why is it so slow? A lot of people came in. I mean, maybe not us. We're more older fans, but so many people joined right after True Colors. They got the experience of watching the whole show, at their own pace. They could watch as many episodes as possible. And now they have to deal with one episode per week, so it probably feels a lot slower than it is to them, at least. Just because they're not used to
And even
this.
I wouldn't argue that the season was slow. Like, not okay. Maybe
Or sorry,
like
it's taking so long for stuff to happen, just because it's week between each episode.
possibly. Because I think
Honestly, I like the pacing of this season. I feel like, of course, there are things that could use work on some things, but I feel like a lot of the why isn't stuff happening is overstated.
Yeah, it's definitely. I feel like it's
pretty similar to how Amphibia's always run.
Yeah,
but I think what was surprising for myself is that I'm not really concerned about Anne not mentioning Sasha and Marcy a lot. Like, I'm not as worried about that as I thought I would have been. Like, maybe in like episode 2, I was thinking, oh man, like, is Anne gonna bring up Sasha and Marcy, blah blah blah.
yeah.
And
The
then
ball.
we're in 6 episodes in. I kind of don't really. I don't want to say I don't care about them. I just don't really care about what Anne thinks of them. because Sasha's like a control freak for Anne, and then Marcy Isiki isekai'd them without her consent. And it's like, yeah, maybe Anne shouldn't have them in their mind for a bit.
What?
Maybe it's better to focus on the good things.
Because we still don't even fully know where Anne stands with them at this point. Like, I know she said, "Oh, I'm gonna make up with them," but Anne hasn't really gotten a chance to slow down and just think about them. Just think about everything that's happened here. And I'm like, I don't know. I think I still believe we're gonna get something with that. Honestly,
Absolutely, yeah. Like, it's impossible to avoid it once reunion happens.
it's gonna come up sometime. But yeah, I mean, I know the fandom's looking for an episode that just directly tackles what happened in True Colors, but I feel like
I think
I
we're
don't
past
know
that point.
Yeah, I honestly feel like the new normal was supposed to be that. The more I think about it, I think the new normal was supposed to be one that really directly tackles everything that happened. And I guess the problem is it wasn't enough for people because I feel like with me, I'm just the type of guy to make something big out of something small. And so when we really just got those two, I think I think we got about 3 things that sort of tell me what to really. I think I don't know how to put it, but I don't know how to put this, but I know I think the new normal it satisfied me enough. I'm gonna start off with that, and I know the beginning and end it sort of sets up Anne's mood regarding True Colors, right? It messed her up, and she's just trying not to think about it, right? That's sort of what's been going on with Anne. So I mean, I guess that settles it for me. I mean, we got fixing Frobo. Right, it literally deals with Frobo's death and just how that affects Polly. So I don't know. I mean, personally, I'm feeling fine with how True Colors has just been handled in season 3. No.
Maybe it's True Colors wasn't setting up a new standard, but maybe it was just setting up a new. True Colors is mostly a new status quo rather than a new standard for the show. Like, the show still has its same process, but it's just the consequences of the new norm of True Colors has just slowly leaked itself into every episode, but not the tone itself. It hasn't changed the tone of the show.
Yeah. Because I'm just trying to think. Yeah, Yeah, I guess you're right about that because I don't know. Because Amphibia is not the first show to have to deal with something like this, right? I mean, like, I don't want to make this a conversation about Avatar, but like, Avatar had like a super dark season finale for its second season, and then like its third season immediately started with an episode that like had something to say about that, and then we got then we get like what was it like
a bunch of Fire Nation episodes.
Yeah, but they were like sort of like goofy, right? Like, and I don't know what to say here because I don't really see people complain about that, but like I just think like I honestly I don't know what to say anymore. Like I don't know like what to think about their points. Because I just feel like the show's just been doing a good job so far with stuff here, and I get the fact that like people are feel unsatisfied that it hasn't turned into like this grim character drama since True Colors, but like I don't know, like the show never. Like, if there's anything that majorly changed, it's just like you said, right? Like a status quo change. Like,
yeah, the show's never been some big gritty thing. I mean, after Reunion, it was a huge shift in like, this girl just watched her friend almost try to kill herself. Yeah. But it was never going to make the show a big gritty drama. I think it's the same thing with True Colors. It's still Amphibia, even if it's different status quo.
Yeah, and I feel like right now, Season 3 is just handling, like, True Colors the same way Season 2 handled, like, Reunion, just like you said. Like, it's still there. It's still something that happened, but there's not going to be an episode, because there was not a single episode in Season 2 that tackled, like, the messed up stuff that happened in Reunion. Like, not at all. Instead, it just...
all gonna build to some...
Yeah.
That happens.
Yeah.
Talking about Toad Tower and True Colors. But we've got to wait until, like, all three of the girls are back together to really tackle that.
Yeah.
I guess
gotta wait for that.
The dinner kind of did tackle Toad Tower a little bit.
Yeah, and I think, it sucks because, like, that means that, like, the dinner was, like, what was it? The second to last episode of Season 2, right? So I think people are going to have to... So people are going to have to wait until, like, around then. They're going to be crying about that, but, I don't know. I mean, I'm just not. That's why I'm not, like, I understand where these complaints come from, but I'm not, like, that's why I can't agree with them. That's, like, I can understand them. I can tell them, oh, yeah, your feelings they're valid, but, like, I can't look at their points and just say, like, yeah, you're 100% right. Like, no, I still feel like, I don't know. I still feel like the way that Amphibia's been carrying itself has just been satisfying.
In conclusion, Frog Family superior. What's the name of the school?
St. James Middle School.
Like St. James Friends inferior.
Humans inferior. What's a good bros before hoes, like, spin we can do with this? Frogs before... No. No, I can't think of one.
Planters before... I can't think of anything.
We'll come up with something.
Yeah, we'll come up with something for planters before. Yeah, I can't. I mean, I can't think of anything. Oh,
planters before traders.
Traders. I feel like we need something that just rhymes. Like planters before. Damn, I can't.
We'll come up with something.
We'll go.
It's a good time to. I think we can end the night with this.
Okay. End the night on a high note of us not being able to think of a rhyme.
Yeah. We'll come up with something better by next week, hopefully.
Yes, I think with that, we can end tonight's recording. But I guess final thoughts. Pickle, what are your final thoughts on both these episodes?
Solid episodes. I'd give them both. They both really felt like 8 out of 10s. Loved Mr. X. Can't wait to see more of him. Sprig's birthday, also a solid episode. Definitely Sprig's birthday, especially this whole season, but Sprig's birthday especially. It's like a flashback to season 1, really getting into that, but with a new paint over it, with the more developed characters and the the different setting.
All right, thank you, Pickle. Nick, any final thoughts on these episodes?
Both were pretty good. Frog Show's done it again. Looking forward to next week. I mean, good developments again. Like I said before, I really did like Ant's motivation here in Sprig's birthday. It's going to be a nice. I feel like it's going to be one of those episodes where, like, when we get later down the season, we're going to be like, "Wow, they really planted the seeds for this all the way back then." Mr. X, another great one. I like the introduction of Mr. X. I really like how while he's like really sassy, really like like that, but he's also like intimidating at the same time. I like the Amphibia like really nails that. No, so yeah. Oh, actually, I love the Boon Choice. Like the fact that we get like actual like parents of a character and not just like dumb stereotypes. That's super nice. So I think overall, like again, like I'm pretty happy with what the show's doing.
All right, thank you, Nick. And yeah, overall, like I enjoyed these episodes. Mr. X was a fun episode with like continuing the FBI plot. RuPaul was a interesting like voice, interesting guest star. Hope we see him again. Yeah, Sprig's birthday was a really like probably like the most wholesome episode we've gotten this series, and I enjoyed the episode in that regard, especially if it was more about Anne than Sprig. And yeah, I think these are both still solid episodes. And with that, I think that concludes this week's episode. We'll see you guys next week for Spider Sprig and Olivia and Unan. Say goodbye, everyone.
See you guys.
Bye.